I want to tell you something very important, but it's not important. We've been setting goals year after year, but those goals do not come to pass. Like you set goals, you want to be a writer this year. This year is going to be, I'll become a writer. Well, it doesn't happen. You probably say, okay, I'm going to write more often. I'm going to improve my writing. I'm going to become a better writer this year. But that doesn't happen. You say, okay, I'm going to become a published writer. That doesn't happen either. And you're like, wait, is it I'm not caught out for writing? Okay. Or is there something wrong somewhere? Okay. Probably not. So what's the problem? For most people, this is what happens, and I'll explain what happens, and it's exactly what happens to me. So it's me describing myself. It's not like I'm trying to tell you who you are. I don't know anything about you. That's true. We start the year. It's an awesome year. I'm ginger. I'm inspired. I'm motivated. I really want to do stuff. I want to become a great writer, whatever. And then it's January. We're like, okay, we gotta get some literature in text. We gotta read some books. We gotta take some books from great writers on how to write, learn those stuffs, and we'll be on our way to start writing. Okay, January we return 7th day, it's the 8th day. This is some time. It's New Year's refresh. We gotta create a plan and structure, and awesome, good and wonderful. It's February and life gets in the way. It's March, May, April. I don't know. It's June. Life gets really tough. We forget completely about our goal. We forget about writing. Once in a while, there's a reminder, but we quickly forget. And then at the end of the year, well, wow, this was the year I thought I said I was going to be a writer, but I don't know what happened. Like the year we got busy. Look, I got a lot of engagements this year. But no. Oh, what happened? Why did I forget? That's the part that baffles me. Why did I forget? You know, why did I forget? Is it because somehow I was spellbound to forget the goals? You know, it just happens and it just goes away. Like it's not, it disappears. You forget about it. Okay, so I was like, okay, why is that happening? Is it because I have amnesia? Or why is that is only the goals I forget? Yeah, I do write some down, but I've get a little busy. I don't even remember the stuff. Okay, okay, okay. And I was like, okay. I brought in my critical and analytical cap, put it on, and I started thinking. What could be the problem? What could be the single most important reason why all my goals fail? Why is it so hard that I forget about all my goals? You know? Start thinking. Hello everyone. My name is Oyemi Chinua and you're welcome to the Build Writing Podcast. In today's podcast, we're looking at the single most important reason why most goals fail. There are a lot of reasons why goals fail, but there's one most important reason why goals fail. Now, I'll be honest with you. The single most important reason why goals fail is because probably is it. I try to express it, and I hope you understand. When we set goals, awesome goals, nice goals, we break them down, what we need to do. We're like, oh, as a goal, I want to be, let's say you're a beginner writer. I don't know if you're an advanced or pro writer, but let's say you're a beginner writer, you just want to get started, or probably you be a writer, but how do I put it now? You normally consider yourself as a writer from yourself. Now, it's not because you see yourself as little, but you don't really feel like you're a writer yet. And probably because you've not really written much and you're a beginner writer and you're starting to learn the ropes. Now you say, okay, this year I'm going to be a writer. And you set goals. You're like, I'm going to write 200 books. Okay? I'm just saying 200 books or probably 20 short stories or two novels. You should set a goal. That's great. Wonderful. You break down the goals, okay? I'm going to write a novel. If I take about 3 months to write each novel, I'll write probably maybe about 2,000-3,000 words a day. I should complete the novel in 3 months. That's great. That's wonderful. Okay, after the novel, what's going to happen? You see, the problem is we set these goals, but then we forget one thing. Every other writer of every other aspiring writer, potential writer, someone who wants to write, who dreams to write, that is not yet writing, set those goals too. So if they're setting the goals too, what makes us different from them? What makes those who are truly writing, those who we want to be like? What makes us different in any way? I was like, whoa, wait a minute. So all these other guys set goals too, yeah. So you thought they don't set goals? And it's not like I thought, but I was like, oh, you think these people are criminals? No, they're not. They seem like you too. They set goals. They break the stuff down. They listen to the inspirational 7 improvement goal setting guide too that you listen to too. So what really makes you think you're different? In fact, you're probably in this that in that boat too. You don't ever get to write. You never get to achieve that dream of writing, that sense of accomplishment, and all those things of telling and sharing your story. You don't get it, so you're in that ship too. So I don't think you're a bad person. You're not. You have good intentions. You want to be a writer, truly, but then it doesn't happen. I found it why we forget about writing. We forget about our writing goals and our intentions to become a writer because writing is not yet part of our life. And guess what? When everything gets busy and the boat gets busy and turbulent, we forget about those things that are not important. We forget about those things that are not necessary. Yeah, up here in your head, it might be important, but it's not part of your life yet. Yeah. So what am I saying? I'm saying that we create the time, the routine for writing. If you create a time and the routine for writing, life gets busy. A lot of things happen. But as a part-time writer, the part-time writer, by I mean, the writing is not what you do day in, day out. If you have the opportunity to be writing a day in, day out, that's great, that's awesome. But for most people, they have to earn a living, we have to go to school, and probably what you're studying is not even if you study writing, you give your assignments and all the stuff, and you have to do those assignments. So you can't really write all the stuff. Okay? So what do we do? Well, instead of seeking results, how about we seek to become a writer? We seek to create the identity. And what is the identity of a writer? A writer is someone who writes. And how can we be someone who writes? By creating a time in our busy schedule for writing. It could be 30 minutes a day, in the morning, or in the evening. You write stuff. You have that time. No, I know you're like, nah, I'm a creative person. Everything is gonna stifle me. It's gonna stifle me. No, everything is gonna hold me, strangle my creative spirit. I don't want to do that. Yeah, you're right. You're a creative person. You don't want to get blocked or burnt out by any of this stuff. You're a creative person, isn't that? Yeah. But then the question I'm led to ask, and I'm saying this, it's a confession. It's myself that I'm evaluating. If it happens to be you, it's great. But I'm not just saying. I don't know anything by you. So, the question I ask myself is simple. Your creative spirit, where is it taking you so far? It's not like it's we're moving, but okay, I'll be honest with you. Nowhere. Okay. Now, a routine is not beautiful. It's not sweet. As much as we want to run from it, and I'll tell you this, we all have a pattern. And I was like, okay, I was like, I don't want a routine. I don't want a routine. We all have a pattern. I was like, what do you mean? We all have a pattern. If I was to hire a private investigator to follow you around, to spy on you, to bug your table, your chair, your phone, and listen to all your conversations, record these and videos and all those things, see your movements, wait when you do particular things, and time track you where you go to, places you do, to people you call, and all the stuff. What the private investigator will find is a pattern. Now, sometimes it doesn't really mean that because it's not close enough, there's no pattern. There is a pattern, and because we might be the one, we might not see the pattern. But we all have a pattern. We all have a routine that we follow. It might change in depending on the season and the weather, but there's still a pattern there. So you're saying that you don't need a routine. You're simply saying, I don't want to be intentional about my pattern, or you just want to let any pattern work. You see, the pattern that works might not work in your favor. At least it doesn't work in your favor. If not, you'd be writing almost every day if it was free. Okay, so we need a routine, we need a time, we need a system. Because when we have a system, we don't have to struggle with motivation and all this. We show up and we write. And when we show up and write, in those days, magic could happen. Not every time, but it could happen. We could get better. Writing, improving, testing, learning from from our crap and improving. That's the only way we could get better. No, but see, writing is not like some other stuff where you have to memorize history to be good at it. No. Writing is writing. You gotta do it. It's like riding a bicycle. Yeah, there might be literature or text on it, but you have to do it to be good at it. You have to do it to let your eyes be opened. You have to do it. So the single most important reason why most writing fail is because there is no system created for the goal. You set the goals, yeah, but that's great, that's wonderful. You want whatever numbers you need. Let's drop those numbers. And ask yourself, what one thing I need to do every day? Very simple, not complicated. It's to show up every day, 10 minutes, and write. And if it happens you're working on a novel, great. If it happens you're not working, great. But the minimum, 10 minutes, you just sit down and you write. Inspiration or no inspiration, you just write stuff. When there's inspiration, great. There's no inspiration, awesome. You know? It's not about talking and saying, oh, I want to be this, I want to be that. Is writing in your time? Can you create a time for it? The price we have to pay as writers is time. And like every other goals, we set them, but we do not create the time for them. So how do we expect them to happen? We forget about the goals. But if we have to simplify, you cut all the flex. Oh, so many goals. But just 10 minutes a day, you sit down and you write. So simple. It's not complex. It's not complicated. You don't need inspiration for anything. You sit down and you write whatever comes to your mind. You free write, you journal, you do stuff, you just write. Every day. It's so simple. Or you know that, okay, this is the time I write. You just show up and you write. There is no complicated stuff that you will have to forget or anything. It's as simple as it is. And I'm reminding myself that, look, it's not about telling myself that, look, I want to be a writer, I want to be this. I have to put my mouth where my talk, I put my time and my energy where my mouth is. Like, if I want to be a writer, I have to write. I have to put these things there. Then no magic is going to happen. I have to write. And I want to say this to all writers that, look, we have to create a routine. It doesn't have to, it can be as flexible as you want. It doesn't have to be every day. It could be 5 times a week, Saturday and Sunday, chill out. It could be, the thing is to write consistently. That's what's most important. The thing is to create time for writing. Care about your time. I know the time is different from everyone, but no matter how small the progress might be, it's better than no progress at all. Yeah. And I would love this time and age we're in now where we can write microfiction and flash fiction. So there's really no need of like, oh, I don't have enough time to see. People like Alice Moore, when she was in interview, she was like, oh, I was preparing, I was busy, I really didn't have that time for a novel, and that's why I wrote short stories. And she won the Nobel Prize for short stories, and she is the first that won the Nobel Prize for short stories, and nobody, I don't know, probably someone else will win for short stories, but that was like a pioneer, like give credit to short stories, and there are people who write short stories or short story writers too, So there's short stories, there's flash fiction, there's microfiction, there's even 100 stories, there's even 100-word story, there's a 50-word story, and there's even 6-word story. So why we say, okay, no matter the time you have, there's something for you. And those 6-word stories that you have, that you might pen down, those 50 word stories you might pen down, they might lead you even down to a bigger journey. 50 word story might lead into your short story, you know? You can just open a page on a chapter of another story and all those things. So as in the new year, we should not make the same mistake. What do we do now? What am I doing? It's simple. I found the time that is good for me. And the time that is good for me, it's in the morning. That's what I've chosen. Now you could choose in the evening. But I chose the morning. Why? Because if I get to write in the morning, I'm fresh. I'm fresh. I'm not stressed. I'm not tired. The troubles and the challenges of the day have not come yet. I write. Probably start with 15 minutes, and then as it gets better, I move on to 30, 40 minutes. By the time I write, look, dude, once I can get writing done for that day is a success for me. Why? Because writing is like the most challenging stuff that if I can get writing done, then probably there's nothing else that I would need motivation to do. That's just the mindset I'm thinking. And also, not only that, I'm thinking that, okay, if I get to miss the morning routine, the morning time, because of one reason or the other, which I might not be able to foretell, things happen. I can what do they call this? I can make up for it in the evening and write. Where in the evening, if I don't know. But just look at the time that it's good for you. That's 8. You can repeat it. For some persons, the evening is not really a good time for them because it's always changing. It's not like a fixed time. For me, in the morning, I really have control of that. I wake up and get it right, and boom, my day is done. So you want to start with 10 to 15 minutes. There are a lot of exercises and a lot of things you could do. You could start free writing, which is simply you just sit down and writing whatever into your mind, just dumping down on the page. Doesn't have to be good, but you just write. Then sooner or later you progress. But the first thing, we don't have to obsess over writing great work when you start. What we need to obsess over is showing up. Yeah, that's just one thing. When you show up and you can perfect the habit and the system, and you can get the routine of showing up, then we can progress and start working or writing excellent stuff when we show up. Because now, if you're trying to chase two things at the same time, no, that's sad. You're trying to write great work and just show up. Okay, this time you show up and you write. Just write whatever you write or write on BlackBerry. And sooner or later, you start writing better things. And in the forthcoming episode, I'll talk about exercise that I'm working and using to write better stuff. So make sure you tune to the podcast. Subscribe if you're not subscribed on whatever platform you're listening to this episode. And as always, I say keep writing. Now, I want to say this, that if you have whatever questions you have, or you would just want to make contribution to some of the topics, you can send them to viewwriting.com/speak and do the appropriate, you see the appropriate button to click on. I would love to include your voices in the podcast episodes. I love to have you talk and then, listen to stuff, answer your questions and stuff like that. So this place is not really a lonely place, Just send a message. Most people will not send a message, so send a message. And you like, oh, yeah, your name. Oh, it's Anthony from TechZack. Wow! How many episodes? Wow. Yeah. So send me your questions, and I want to make sure just great time. We have a great time for writing. We have to pay the price for writing. I'm changing the variety and the format of the podcast, and whatever format of variety of podcast you'd love to have, please send it on my way. Whatever episodes or title or topic idea you would love me to talk about, please send my way. Go to viewwriting.com/speak and click the appropriate button. I think what I'll be doing is I will add a form to the page so that if you just don't want to talk, you don't want to speak, you can send in a written text, and then I can read it and use it and work with it. Once again, thank you for listening. My name is Oyemi Chinwakonam, and you've been listening to the Build Writing Podcast. Until Next time, keep writing. Let's put our time and energy where our mouth is.